Hello and welcome to Reviews and Info. I'm a superhero, and today we're trying something a little new. This is a new segment that I'd like to call Connecting the Animated with the Live Action. It's a segment where I look at a story that's been done in both live action and animation, and I compare the differences and similarities between the two. In this case, we're going to look at the TV series Arrow, and over a series of a couple of videos, we're going to be comparing the characters in the live-action Arrow to the ones in the animated shows that they've made appearances in. So I suppose we should start with a little backstory. If you really want to get into the history of superheroes in television, go back to the 1960s. After the success of the Adam West TV series, a lot of superheroes took a shot at live action, and they produced something that was both low budget and very campy. But they proved that superheroes could indeed make it to the television screen without the aid of computer effects and so on and so forth. However, this is a story for another time. Skipping ahead a couple of decades to the 80s, we had the animated Super Friends series, which was again low budget and riding on the heels of Adam West. During the 90s, we had the Tim Burton Batman movie, and that really brought superheroes back into focus, making them darker, edgier, and more realistic. After the success of what Tim Burton did, animator Bruce Timm had his shot at Batman as well as an animated TV series. This new animated TV series started an entire line of DC animated TV series and movies. After the huge success of Smallville, there was a lot of DC shows that tried to push themselves out, but nothing really took on as popular until Arrow came out. In my personal opinion, Arrow is one of the best DC live-action shows on television, as well as one of the best comic book superhero television shows on television, one of the best superhero television shows on television, and one of the best anything on television on television. Yes, while it doesn't capture my enjoyability level as high, I have found Arrow to be better written even than My Little Pony. I would say it's probably tied with my enjoyment level of quality writing combined with its ability to hold my interest with the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. Arrow even outshines its competition Shield on another network. But one thing that helps me truly geek out about and understand Arrow is the existence of animated series that came before it. And for this particular episode, we're going to start off with the first animated television appearance of Green Arrow since the Super Friends series, and that's his appearance in the animated series Justice League, or to be more specific, Justice League Unlimited, in the episode Intuition. The episode starts off with Green Arrow thwarting a robbery and showing off his Batman-like stills, his ability to think intelligently, improvise under tough situations, and utilize an arsenal of weapons and gadgets that have various effects. In a lot of ways, Green Arrow is basically almost exactly like Batman. Both of them are billionaires, and both of them have tactics that involve no superpowers and no killing. The Justice League shows up to recruit Arrow into their ranks, as he has been previously invited, and he has rejected this invitation because he sees himself as a superhero for the small town community, while the Justice League is a group of superheroes protecting the entire world. and he doesn't feel that the two superhero types meld together very well. He has his say in the matter, and the lead agrees to take him home after their next mission, which he has to tag along with if he's going to be sent back to his hometown. While on this mission, he gets his big chance to not only fight the giant monster that is more appropriate for the rest of the lead, but also defeat it. After returning to lead headquarters to recover from his injuries, he has some time to think, in combination with the first appearance of Black Canary catching his interest, and he decides to stay on with the lead. The next couple of episodes to feature characters from Arrow are just small roles. The character Deadshot, who's a major reoccurring villain in the series Arrow, is only a small player in the Justice League series, where he appears to be more of a hired gun and a very minor, easily dealt with character, as opposed to a major threat. He appears in The Enemy Below for the first time, where he tries to assassinate Aquaman, and he appears in the later half of Hereafter as one of many goons who's on the loose. Deadshot's best episode in the Justice League series happens during the Justice League Unlimited run, and that's in the episode Task Force X, in which he joins Task Force X. Deadshot is teamed up with Plastique, another Arrow villain, Clock King, and Captain Boomerang, as they use their skills to break into Justice League headquarters and steal some extremely dangerous technology. Now, Task Force X is Deadshot and the rest of them's time to really shine as far as the Justice League episodes are concerned, because it shows how all of the different stills work together like a well-oiled machine, and it's one of the few times where the villains actually succeed at defeating the superheroes. However, if you want a really good episode for Deadshot, you got to check out the animated movie Gotham Knight, wherein he goes head-to-head with Batman, and they fight on fairly even still sets. In Injustice for All, we encounter Arrow bad guy Solomon Grundy. In these early Justice League episodes, Grundy is depicted as being all muscle and no brain, and being just a hired help kind of character. He's basically an undead zombie, but not the kind that goes around eating brains. Rather, the kind that's on par muscle-wise with Superman and has a lust for gold. He appears again in Fury and Only a Dream, but he doesn't have much more than hired muscle to do in those episodes either. Amanda Waller is our next character to discuss briefly, and she is the tough woman who heads up the organization known as Cadmus, which Cadmus has been renamed a number of different things throughout multiple series, such as Checkmate during its run on Smallville, and Suicide Squad during its run on Arrow. Amanda Waller is basically a member of the U.S. government who does what she does by performing morally gray acts that are for the better good. She's a master manipulator and the kind of person who will do anything it takes to get the job done, even if it's not the kind of thing that heroes or even the U.S. government can morally admit to doing. One of her first appearances is during the Doomsday Sanction, in which we see her and Batman butting heads and showing off how both of them have dirt on the other and can at any time reveal each other's secrets to the public if either of them should get out of line. we also start up a debate on superheroes with superpowers versus superheroes without superpowers, and whether or not those with powers can be trusted to go through their lives without being a threat to those without powers. This is one of those moral debates where both sides have a point, and in the end, all you can really do is trust your heroes to remain heroes and not abuse their powers. But the American government doesn't want to take that chance, and they want to do whatever it takes to make sure they have super-powered people playing for their side. In Doomsday Sanction, one of the scientists unleashes a captured ultimate weapon, a being known as Doomsday, and he turns this ultimate weapon on Superman and the rest of the League, forcing the League to banish Doomsday to the Phantom Zone. It's in this episode that we begin to have fighting between the League members as different members take different sides of the superpowers versus non-superpowers issue, with Superman on the side of the superheroes and Batman on the side of those without powers. So we're going to move on and look at Tabula Rasa. This is an episode that makes a name mention of Professor Ivo, another major player in the series Arrow. However, we don't get a lot of who Professor Ivo is because he starts off dead in this episode. What we get from this episode instead is his legacy, the android Amazo. But we can't really say a whole lot about Professor Ivo here, other than the fact that this episode makes his name stand out in my memory, and we always know that Professor Ivo and Amazo have a connection to each other. In the Arrow TV series, it's Professor Ivo's ship, which is named the Amazo. So there's not a whole lot of connection there for Arrow fans and cartoon fans to meet together, other than immediate name recognition. Next on our list is Wild Cards. This is the Justice League's appearance of the Royal Flush Gang. The Royal Flush Gang appeared so far in one episode of Arrow, as well as several episodes of Batman Beyond, where Batman Beyond had Bruce saying that he knew the Royal Flush Gang from his past, which didn't make sense because the Royal Flush Gang didn't appear in the Batman animated series at all. But they do appear in Wild Cards. But the Royal Flush Gang is a gang that passes on their tradition of being criminals from family member to family member across multiple generations.